to get your artist to understand who their audience is, or you have to help them find the audience that they're looking for. And either or requires for you to have conversations with them and really kind of ask them exactly how and what they're willing and not willing to do.
All right, my people, welcome to another episode of Chop It Up with your girl, Lebanon Mawitsor. And we have a special collaboration happening with Alberta Music. So shout out to them for giving us this opportunity. So right now we're going to get into the business of music. We've had a lot of artists on here, but we want to actually understand music. What is the science behind it? What does the management look like? And maybe there's aspiring people out there that are interested in this industry. So right here beside me, I have Alex Alphonse. He's an artist manager and a marketing and video expert. Alex, how are you doing today?
Doing well. How about you?
I'm good. So I want to start from the beginning. Was artist management something you always wanted to get into, or is it something you kind of fell into?
Fell into, for sure. I love music. I think if you were to ask anybody during school times, I always had just headphones around my ears, whether I played, whether it was on a bus or going to soccer practice. So music has always been a part of me. I think at one point in time, I just became in love with assisting people. And then naturally, when, just having an affinity to try to help people out in any way that I could, work with an artist, he needed some help, understood a little bit of the marketing side of things, and started pushing. And in that, got some certificates, got some knowledge. You got to go to school to get some education out of that. And yeah, now I'm considered an expert.
Yeah. So how does your background in video and marketing, how do you help to refine your artists and push them to the next level with that expertise? It translates well, right? Like as an artist these days, it's not just the art, it's how you present it. It's the experience that you want to provide to the audience that you're targeting. So, in video work, understanding obviously like how to edit things, whether you want it to be comedic, whether you want it to be serious, what kind of mood you want, what kind of colors you want to attract, the taste that you're really trying to leave people behind. That's important in terms of video work. And then in terms of like marketing and management and stuff, it just became something which I really just understood very well. Like my background is data analytics, so I love doing research. I'll spend maybe 20 minutes, and I might find something that somebody might take like 3 hours to find. Just I don't know, just the ways and where I look, what questions that I ask, either my AI or whichever. And now I've gotten really good at just being able to collect information and then present it to artists in a way that's digestible, and it's helped. Yeah, so I think in recent years we've seen more highlights on behind the scenes of music. I think a lot of it was like forefront, this is the artist, and that was it. Now we're seeing producers are running shows and people are buying tickets to see them, and people are like fanning over producers. And I think when people think of artist management, they're like, okay, you just follow this person everywhere. And they don't have a respect for it. Maybe now it's a little bit different. So we know that being an artist manager is more than just booking shows and finances. So what are the behind the scenes things that people don't know about when it comes to that aspect?
You got to manage expectations. You're managing personality. So if you are looking to be an artist manager, that definitely is something you got to understand. You have to know your artist. You got to love the music or just understand the business, right? It's got to be one or the other. If you have both, then you're phenomenal. There's a great quote that I hear all the time, which is just, like a good artist manager will get you places where you should be. A great manager will get you places where you don't deserve to be yet. And in turn, obviously, you get to make the connections that you do get to push. So for me, networking is really important in that as well. If you want to be a good artist manager, you kind of got to have these tools that you can utilize in order for you to really kind of stretch yourself in spaces where you might not be into. Alberta Music has done a phenomenal job in kind of helping me out. Last year, I attended probably every single one of the backstage passes that they had. Shout out to Edma, shout out to Nick. They really helped out in just kind of letting me know some of the things that were happening. So I got really good connects with music agents, publishing, syncing. So now I understand a little more how that market works. So then when I speak to an artist, I'm able to offer that value. And then I got emails to back it up. I've gone to Breakout West. So these are conference events that happen here on the west side of the north. And it's been phenomenal just as an experience. But it's a career in which I really want to push forward with.
So you work with artists in different genres or artists that also blend different genres together. How do you tailor your approach to each of them to make them stand out
in the spaces that they're in?
Ask questions. I think that's the biggest thing. You have to know what the artist wants, because it's tough to kind of like, you have to do two things. You either have to get your artist to understand who their audience is, or you have to help them find the audience that they're looking for. And either or requires for you to have conversations with them and really kind of ask them exactly how and what they're willing and not willing to do, and then kind of manage your expectations based off of that. A good example I can give is, like, you own a store. How often are you open throughout the week? Now, your social media is kind of like your storefront, if you want to call it that. How often are you posting a week? Your stories, your reels, your posts, your carousels, whatever it is, right? Like collaborations, lives, like all these things are ways in which you are promoting your storefront in order for people to come and attract them towards like your product that you have. So if, for example, you're only posting 3 times a week or 3 times a month or 2 times in a month, right? Like you're only really open 2 times a year, but you're expecting, 8,000, 10,000 people to mess with you on a regular basis.
Okay.
That's where I get to manage expectations. So really helping an artist understand kind of where it is that they're able to kind of really implement themselves is important. And then second of all, just I like to wear the hats that I need to, and I let the professionals in other spaces do what they're supposed to do. I used to be the person that tried to do everything, and you burn out fast, right? Like it's very tough to kind of get into a space where you feel like you can do everything. Now, I got a co-manager, Ray, shout out to you, phenomenal, just in everything that we do together, and we're able to split some of the tasks, which helps. And then naturally from there, we connect with different videographers, we connect with different PR companies, publishing and such, and then we're able to lock in with an artist and say, okay, like this is how you navigate through this. So we have a grant writer that helps us out in just understanding where and how to move around with grants and funding that's available in different times. Like the first quarter of the year, that's where you push a lot of your grants out. Like, the fourth quarter of the year is where you kind of get all your submissions out for the next year's festivals and showcases, right? Like you kind of have to do these things. And if you have a team where if you respect like the industry, the business of it all, you start to realize that there are positions in different spaces, and not to say that to the checks and balances, but like your media personality. You have to understand that, saying hi to you and saying happy birthday might not be like the most important thing you ever do in your life, but it is important to your career because that person at least says, okay, you're human. We might not be friends. I understand this is a business relationship. I'm not like misunderstanding what this is, but the fact that you're willing to at least acknowledge the fact that something's happening in my life, at least acknowledge that. I don't remember your name, like, okay, that person, oh, you're that person, right? Introducing yourself as that. So, people got to respect what they respect, but, if you put in the work, I think it shows.
So I think when it comes to artists, specifically in Alberta, speaking outside of the artists that are on your roster, what's something that you see that, I don't want to say it's a mistake, but is kind of impacting maybe the music from reaching new heights? Maybe it's like, is it rollout? Is it branding? Is it marketing? Like from your perspective?
I'll give an example. Last year, I connected with a venue here, the Commercials, Blues on White. And I with another business partner, I booked a band and I asked a bunch of artists for free to come and just perform their songs, right? Invite some people, you get paid, you get to perform with a live band, because I understood in me doing like jury stuff that a lot of the industry likes live music, right? The best example I can give is these people are parents of kids in which they love music themselves. So if you learn how to play drums, if you learn how to play guitar, saxophone, etc., you're going to want your kid to have a career or do something with that. So they're the ones that are advocating for live music a lot more than anything else. So when they're jurors, they're also advocating for people who are willing to hire those positions or at least have respect for it. So in that, you kind of get to a space where if you want to get better, you kind of have to include some of those spaces in order, some of those things in order for you to advance. And I mean, I probably talked to like 30 plus artists. Only maybe 15 came out of the 15, 12 actually got on stage. And of the 12, they were all like shocked by how well the musicians played music. And I think that's a misunderstanding with a lot of artists is they feel that, you have to go digital often, but live music is really important. It's something that obviously helps the ecosystem as a whole. Musicians, they have their own little group, and as artists, if you understand that, you know that once you get into that group, you get a lot more opportunities because they'll put your names in places where you might not be in, and that's really important. So I mean, that's an example of kind of where that goes from. But like in terms of just pushing like where artists should go, networking is important.
Yeah, so I think right now when we look at music, it's not only about talent anymore. We can even, Drake can sing a song using AI. Like anything is possible right now. But we know that branding is also important. And even me in media, when I am like interviewing people and putting things together, I need to see a brand as well, just so that I can even come up with questions on what to ask them. So how do you build a strong brand identity for the artists that you work around with?
I mean, thankfully these days I have a collection of questions that I'll ask an artist that will help me know, or at least help me help them craft what brand that they're trying to push, what message that they're trying to give out to the world. But yeah, I mean, branding is really important. I think you have to know who you're targeting. You have to know why you're targeting them. Like the who, what, where, and how really is like that key thing. Once you kind of get those, you get to kind of branch off into like the little mind map where it kind of starts to develop into who it is that you are. Yeah, it's I don't want to say it's tough because everyone can have a brand. It's whether or not you're willing to market it properly and kind of how that moves from there.
So we know that this industry is not like a smooth sailing industry. There's ups, there's downs, and there's a lot of downs.
Yeah.
So tell me about a time you faced a major challenge and you were able to overcome that. And then you can also maybe go into what was like a rewarding part of your career that made you be like, okay, you know what, it was hard, but I'm still in this.
Challenging was COVID. I think I had a lot of momentum with an artist. We're showcasing songs on Snapchat. People were like, "Yo, what is this beat? What is this song? How are we moving this?" And we're really excited. And then COVID hit, and it just kind of shut a few things down for us that really kind of gave that momentum. So that was a tough thing to have to pivot to, because now you have to learn the online game, which even now it's important because the visibility, as you mentioned, right? Like if you want to know who an artist is as a media personality, you kind of have to know, okay, like how do I find you? If you don't have a digital footprint, it's very tough for you to kind of exist in this world. So I would definitely suggest artists that they do kind of have to have that digital footprint on multiple social medias. Understanding what Bandcamp is, for example, is really important because that's where a lot of the industry goes to find your music. But yeah, I mean, like that was definitely a hard shift. The pivot in that was I hit the DMs. I started hitting people up, and they were home a lot more, which was nice. So because of that, I connected with really great people like Arlo, and in that I was willing to ask for advice, and he started putting my names in rooms in which, again, I didn't feel like I definitely deserved to be in there, but it definitely was a blessing because in that I've kind of skyrocketed a little bit. I've been able to participate in both the Alberta and Country Music Awards, which I never thought that I would be in, different genres in that as well. But I learned so much from that genre, like understanding how the business is done over there, and then carrying that over to the artists that I work with now, and then being able to be professional enough that they respect what I do, and then they let me do my job, and I let them kind of have their experience.
So with the artists on your roster at the moment, where do you want to see them end up kind of in the next 3 to 5 years? Where are you pushing them towards, and how are you preparing for that?
Touring is definitely up there. I think each artist understands that in the branding of who you are, you have to find a way to monetize that, right? Like if you want a career out of it, it's different than if you just want to use it for art. If you want to make great art, by all means, make great art. I definitely encourage that. But once you get into the business of things, that's when I come in. But if you're just looking to make great art, then by definition, you're a hobbyist. You're making music for your hobby, and that's phenomenal. But if you're looking to make money from it, I think there's different expectations from you and from me in terms of how we navigate. So the artists that I work with now, they're definitely a lot more understanding of that on my end. And it becomes a lot easier to talk to them about, okay, well, you eventually want to, have merch. You eventually want to be able to present to people and speak to them. I've artists who's an author and a speaker, and she speaks about women empowerment, and it's phenomenal in the way that she moves. And she's already traveled a large part of the world already. So my goal for her is just to have that continue. And she has her own small goals that I have on my list as well. Just kind of getting them to go out there. Award shows. People have to respect the Junos. Yeah. I know artists here can try to bypass that a little bit just to kind of get to the billboards and stuff, and it's great. But if you respect the awards, people love a rise up, right? People love momentum. If you understand how momentum works and how you piece that together with small performances, small wins, like blog placements, etc., that's where I think people see that progression and they're willing to kind of come along with the journey with you, right? Like, for lack of a better word, you got to have a wagon to have bandwagons. Eventually, those are the people that are going to shout your name out in spaces that other people will be like, what's going on? Where? And then hopefully you kind of get there. But yeah, and then the biggest thing is international, right? Like I have a French-based artist. The French space in Alberta isn't the greatest. But we understand where the market is, and globally, obviously, is where it's at. So we're planning on hopefully going to Congo in October and perform out there.
Oh, that's exciting. So for anybody who's interested in getting into artist management, what would you advise them? Like, not what should they be aware of, but what would you advise them if they're like new to this and they're interested in this industry?
Yeah, start with one. Start with one. Let them know what you can do. Don't overpromise. I think disappointing an artist is probably far worse because they're putting their trust in you, right? That they're hoping that whatever you have can help them kind of navigate that, and they're looking to kind of take some things off of their boat, off of their plate to place it onto yours. So as long as you're able to kind of like work with that process, I think that's important. So managing expectations, definitely. And then you have to be willing to do your own research, right? Like, what do you bring into the table? Like, it's important for you to know that, like, if you understand the business, if you have the connections, that's phenomenal. But how can you utilize that for your artists and vice versa? How can your artists make sure that whatever resources they have, you can then represent them in those spaces so that they don't feel like they always have to be the person that's like, for lack of a better word, in front of people, right? You want your artist to be protected in that. So sometimes you have to be the person that's forcefully trying to, make sure they don't get screwed over.
So we're in a digital space now, marketing, branding, and we've seen like Doechii with her marketing strategy, with how she came up with a lot of things. Who's one artist that you've been impressed by their marketing strategy that you are even like, I'm gonna take tips on that, or I see what you're doing?
Mittler Russell is probably the easiest person, like throughout COVID. Alberta-wide, I would say Arden. Arden did a phenomenal job during the pandemic, and he was able to get a record deal through Capitol from that. He's toured with some TDE artists, and that was I'm sure that was really big. You have Nick with who's done some really good job with Kuzi Sia out in Calgary. Him and Sean have halftime, and they've done some great job there. I mean, there's some really great managers out there that do some good things. Yeah.
If you could choose one artist, I know there's probably many, that is dead or alive that you'd love to manage if you got the opportunity, who would that person be?
That's a good one. Dead or alive that I could manage. I mean, I definitely have a few. Can I ask a quick question? So, for what purpose? Is it for marketing? Is it?
No, it's like if you had the opportunity to work with them, and if it's artist management, or you were marketing for them, or you're doing video, like if you could work with some of them in any capacity of any of your talents.
Okay. It's a tough one between like, I want to say like Akon, just because he's such a great like visionary. Just the way that he understood how to move around in a space, I think that was really cool. And also his brother managed him, which was something which you kind of gotta like really understand. So I pay attention to those guys. So he's definitely somebody in which his mind was just something in which you're like, wow, like in that time period, Akon was really doing some great things. And I felt like, if I could have managed that, maybe I could have plugged in a couple of things in that time period that could have gone high.
For sure. So if you could create like a toolkit, like this is like 3 things in this toolkit for an artist manager, what would those things be?
Have a list of venues and open mics nights in your area. It's important for you not only to have those contacts, but to also get your artists out there to perform. Performing your artists to getting those small number of fans that when you are showing up, or whether you're presenting yourself doing an opening act for somebody coming into your city, that's a show and prove that the experience that they want to see. I would say understanding how to write grants. In Canada, we benefit from a granting and funding body that actually helps you out. We don't have as much population as a lot of different spaces around the world, but we do get money to present our art, and that's really something that's important. So understanding how the space works, and then you yourself have to do research. So in terms of going to conferences or getting access to music directors or music supervisors, understanding what radio is, right? Like just so like that third thing would just be more like the knowledge space where it's like, okay, this is like a glossary or a curriculum that you got to follow. And once you have an idea of what each of these are, when you're having conversations, you're able to tap into people and say, hey, do you know this person or do you have connection to that? And that really helps you move the needle for sure.
So I feel like this has been like a mini masterclass on artist management because I've learned even a lot as well. Yeah. So where can people find you and your artists and connect with you? Yeah.
Of course. So Alphonse on all platforms. I manage 3 incredible artists, 7 Side Smoke. If you're looking for somebody who kind of runs your playlist when it comes to going to the gym or just driving around late at night, he's somebody that'll bang too. He got a couple good songs out with a Toronto artist right now. Nothing to see with Black and Dawn, who just signed a deal with Universal. He's part of that Smiley OVO group, which is awesome. So we love that connection there. There's 2 Moods. Who's a French Congolese artist, 2 Moods lyricist on all platforms for him, and he's got a really big song right now. It came out today, Patriotique with Django Balkalala, and we're looking to push that song out. We're working with some distribution companies to see if we can get that out to the French side of the world. And then Jared Carrier, she's incredible, soulful voice, country, rock. When you talk about lyricism, right, you're hearing somebody kind of speak their minds in the music that they put, and they really put all their strength in that. She's definitely someone there. So Jared Carrier on platforms there, you can find all those. And we got a couple playlists. Podium Finish Productions is the name of my company. We're willing to work with people.
Great. So thank you so much for coming on the show today. And he was also in a panel before, so you can also check that out as well. This has been another episode of Chop It Up with your girl Lebanon. Thank you so much for Alberta Music for bringing this to light. We're so excited to spotlight these artists because this is really important. The music industry here is growing, it's thriving, and you can be a part of it if you want to. So check them out for any resources and keep it locked in, keep the culture alive. Subscribe.
Yes. Yes.
Like,
I was
share.
Listen.
So that we can keep doing this.
Exactly.
And have a great evening, night, wherever you are. Bye.
Bye.